Welcome to a new chapter of Lesbians on the Loose. My name is Silke Bader and I have been the publisher since 1999. Circulating for over 30 years, Lesbians on the Loose magazine is a household name for most queer women in Australia. When the first issue of Lesbians on the Loose hit the streets in January 1990, it was a monthly 8-page photocopied newspaper covering news, where to go out to, and featured some of our first advertisers. Over the years, the magazine would grow into an 80-page full glossy bound magazine interviewing celebrities and community heroes alike. It has been a source of information for those just coming out, a platform for small businesses to advertise to our community, and it would become an historical archive that covers 30 years of Australian lesbian community, our struggles, our celebrations, our topics, our lives. LOTL's purpose was created by you, the need to connect, the need to be seen, and the need to be heard. When I published the last issue in December 2019, I didn't know how we would come back, but I did know that LOTL had a responsibility to maintain and archive the last 30 years of what we reported on. I'm here to speak to you about the new Lesbians on the Loose and why we are reigniting the brand. Lesbians on the Loose won't just be an historical hub. Instead, we ask you to join us on our next journey and help us create history in the making. We have asked 5 women on what LOTL means to them, their first memory of the publication, and how it helped to connect to their community. Here is Paula Wallace and how Lesbians on the Loose was the doorway to the lesbian community.
How I came out is kind of an interesting story. I guess everybody's is, but I had a friend, my best friend from school, and her mum, after being married to my friend's dad for many, many years, came out one day, was a lesbian, came out, and she then moved to the inner west, and I didn't hear from her for a while. And then my friend contacted me and said, "Oh, Mum's invited you around for dinner. I think you should come." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went round for dinner. She was living with her partner at the time, and as I was leaving, she thrust a copy of LOTL at me and said, "I think you might find this interesting reading." I quickly looked at the title, saw Lesbians on the Loose and went, "Whoa, okay." Turned very red and then quickly left. I went home and kind of furiously read through it and thought, "Whoa, okay, that's like a whole new world." And then just hid it under my bed. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, they could see what I couldn't see clearly and had seen it for like a long time, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was, once you started reading Lesbians on the Loose, there was no going back. It seems like Lesbians on the Loose was almost like a doorway to community, a sense of community that you didn't feel connected with.
Absolutely it was, yeah, absolutely it was. I'd never seen it, and I never would have probably come across that magazine if it hadn't been for my friend's mum who gave it to me. And that was the only way that she could really communicate that to me in a way that I wasn't going to just run away and be completely embarrassed, I think. It was a great source of embarrassment for me that I didn't understand really who I was for quite a long time.
Adrian Moffat, who immigrated to Australia and found LOTL a very valuable resource.
Well, it was one of the first magazines that I read when I came over here. And so it was really that first point of like seeing other AFABs in the community kind of talking about their experiences and reading about a lot of art, other work that had been going on. At the time, I think I remember reading an article about someone had been profiled who had won like a stencil art prize. And I remember just reading about like these really cool people in the industry and being like, hey, you know what? There's like actually a collective place where like I can see like people doing things that I'm interested in and hearing them talk about it. And it's not the, token diversity pick for another magazine. It's like everybody that's profiled has interesting stories to tell.
Jess Lawrence, a tomboy from Lake Macquarie region, and how she embraces lesbians on the loose.
When I was younger, I really enjoyed reading their magazines. and they used to have some down at Central Station sometimes. If people would be handing them out if I just happened to be there on the right day. And look, I just found it amazing to read it and go, oh, it's okay to be me. Look, I was broke at the time, and every now and again I'd get one, and it just like gave you this sense of belonging and a sense of peace. I have a lot of respect for them, and I think what they've done is amazing.
Vanessa Gonzalez, co-founder of Rainbow Family New South Wales, a long-time supporter and advocate for LOTL.
Oh, it was so important. It was so amazingly important. And I think it is really important now too. I don't think we have enough visibility. As a very young baby dyke, I used to go to a lot of trouble to find a physical copy of LOTL. I lived in Western Sydney, which wasn't an easy place to get a copy. You had to go to the Women's Health Centre once I found out they were there. So it saved me a long trip, to the feminist bookshop or to somewhere in Leichhardt in a coffee shop to go and get a copy of that. And at the back, it was kind of the only way you met and made community or friends or found housemates or found out what was on or places you could go to socialise, same-sex dancing or, belly dancing, who knows. But there was endless possibilities. And I have met, important people who become really important in my life through LOTL. I've met housemates that I've shared houses and life and, heartbreaks with and all sorts of things, older dykes who were role models to me. The initial kind of ideas around where to travel, like I remember even going overseas and LOTL had an idea and options around, stories around what it was like overseas.
Katie Lambert, who in her role at Link knows the importance of lesbians on the loose.
That was probably my first introduction to Sydney. First few weeks after moving here, going through Newtown and finding an actual print magazine, going, what is this? Oh, on the loose. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be a lesbian on the loose in Sydney. I picked that up and then it just kind of generated from there, always following them once they got online and their movie reviews, like what to be watching at the film festival and things like that. So I think LOTL has a very important place in the community, and it has had it for quite a while. And, you mentioned to people that, I'm going to go do this podcast. They're like, you're doing that with LOTL? That's amazing. Where have they been? What is going on? And I just find it an inspiring magazine and digital forum to really help connect. Because I don't think I would have made some of my first early Australian LGBT friendships without that magazine and knowing where to go or what's going on. So.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like our content, follow us and visit our website lotl.com.